Happy Sunday night and welcome to another meeting of the Park Adventures Club. Thank you guys, as always, for being with us. We appreciate you. If you haven't already, if you haven't been down this road with us before, here's the deal. We have a meeting of the Park Adventures Club. We talk about things, and we'd like for you to be with us every Sunday night here at 8:30 at the Park Adventures Club to be part of the whole thing. Now, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel as Park Adventures Club. Please make sure you hit the like, and please make sure, as Rob has warned you in the chat, that you pull on that yellow strap and make sure that you are all ready and secure for tonight's show, including our fellow adventurers here, starting with Shannon.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday Fun Day.
Indeed. And then the controversial one, the hot take master of them all. It is Mr. Rob Bazemore. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Pleasure to be here with you guys.
And you know what, Rob and I, we had a little bit of a conversation. I think it was the last time that Shannon and Rob and I were all quorum for our Park Adventures meeting. And at that time, we kind of got into it a little bit about park reservations. And I was like, Rob, you're going to have to come back on. We're going to have to talk about it. So that will be our main topic of conversation tonight. That is our new business. If you guys have not been with us before, we are running this like a meeting. So there's Rob's Rules of Order. That's me. I have a gavel. I have this. If Rob gets unruly, I'm just going to hit it, mute him, and we'll move on with the right information. And then, we have an agenda. And so tonight's agenda includes the reading of the minutes, which is, the top 5 stories in theme park news for the past week. We definitely want to catch up on that, give our takes on those, and then hit that new business, which is, does Disney still need park reservations? So please chat along with us in the chat, super chat if you're so moved, but we are happy that you guys are here with us for this meeting. So guys, let's talk first about the Lost Continent demolition. Now, as we were talking about this pre-show, Shannon was like, who? Lost what? What are we talking about? And honestly, I'm not surprised that more people aren't like that. So if you are not a huge fan of Islands of Adventure that Universal Parks has, they used to have, when they opened Islands of Adventure, there were 6 islands. The first one, obviously, the port of entry, and then you go around, and the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, contrary to popular belief, was not there at opening. So here's a look at the park map when they opened, and everything kind of had an island theme. There's Marvel Superhero Island, Toon Lagoon, Jurassic Park. I feel like that's kind of island. The Lost Continent, Seuss Landing, and then the port of entry where you come into the park. So you see that upper right-hand corner is where there was the Dueling Dragons roller coaster. They had the 8th Voyage of Sinbad, the stunt show, which was like a sort of indoor stunt show, which was, I thought, pretty amazing. They had Poseidon's Fury, which was a walk-through attraction that was pretty cool. They have Mythos, which, according to the banner that has been out there forever, is the world's most popular theme park restaurant of all time. I would love to get... I was about to say, I'd love to get your take on that someday, Shannon. But they were like, let's take a little bit of this non-IP area, really, and we're gonna take a little bit of it and give it to the folks at Hogwarts. And we're going to make it Harry Potter. So the Dueling Dragons roller coaster got rethemed to the Dragons Challenge, which then got demolished and is now Hagrid's. So then they closed the Sinbad show, I think 2018, somewhere around there. And then the Poseidon's Fury shut down a couple of years ago. So now that land is pretty much just Mythos and some shops. And so they have gotten the go-ahead to take that area of islands and demolish that 5 acres of land and make something a little bit different. Now, we don't know what it is yet. Here's the outside of Poseidon's Fury. And then, like I said, the Sinbad show right after COVID was a resting area for people. So anyway, this area now is ripe for what we had heard. They're going to do new attractions in all of their theme parks, not just in Epic. And so this is a great place for that. The rumor is Legend of Zelda. the video game. So, like, you guys know Legend of Zelda, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's exciting. So, Shannon, you don't go to Islands of Adventure. Do you take a big pass on this one? There's nothing in that park that interests you.
I don't. I can confidently say I've never been to Islands of Adventure, and I was trying to remember even the last time I've been to Universal. I went to Universal Studios Hollywood just not too long ago, maybe 2, 3 years. But I haven't been to the Orlando parks in a very long time, so can't say much about that.
Well, what about the Mythos thing, though? Like the fact that it's been
I've
like
seen that. It's the laughing stock of the Orlando theme park community, right? They have this banner. You couldn't even make it like a nicer sign. I think it's a banner, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't tempt me to want to dine there.
Well, the banner says #1 theme park restaurant in the world. In the world. And I guess that doesn't count like Victoria and Albert's because that's not in a theme park. But it's 6 years in a row from Theme Park Insider. And so there you go. Maybe we hope that someday some restaurant that we deem the best one in the world at Park Adventurers Club will make them a banner, we'll put it up, and it'll just say, Casey's Corner, the world's best hot dog according to Park Adventurers Club. Maybe that's the thing. Rob, before we move on for this one, I saw you excited about Zelda. Would you have another thing that you think would fit into this park? And obviously they're separated by islands, so they don't have to be a contiguous theme because you've got, superheroes. And honestly, I don't know why they still have Marvel, but they do. You got superheroes, you got Jurassic Park. Is there something you think is missing from their grouping here?
No, I think Zelda will be awesome. And think about Zelda is it has so many different generations have grown up playing Zelda. I mean, I played Zelda when I was young, and I know my son, my children play Zelda now. So there are not a whole lot of IPs out there that hit across so many different generations, like a Mario, like a Donkey Kong, and this will be great. I definitely would make a trip just to spend time in Zelda.
Okay. I've heard from the chat that Shannon was a little quiet, so we're going to pump up that volume. Dance.
Pump it up.
There you go. Yeah.
90s.
There. Yeah. So you're all pumped up. There you go. So before we move any further, we do have our first super chat of the night. Jungle Cruiser, the reason we need reservations at Disney, they can't or won't pay for enough cast members to staff the parks. This is permanent until their financial future improves. Sorry to ruin your week. You never ruin our week, Jungle Cruiser. We were going to get to that point anyway at some point, but honestly, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you, and we'll be talking about that in the back half of the show. So let's move on to the next topic in our agenda, which is Disneyland Paris. Now, we don't often talk about the parks overseas just because your boy's poor and I don't go to a lot of those. But I do appreciate when somebody does something out of the ordinary. And Disneyland Paris had an annual pass holder event, which I feel like they need to get together with the team and decide when they're going to use what names, because it's called Disney Starlight Night. Now, there's a parade called Starlight that just launched that's called Disney Starlight, so I feel like they shouldn't have called it that. But it had extra shows. It was for annual pass holders. They had special programming. They had special characters. They had a whole bunch of really interesting, fun things going on. So, I'm gonna say that I think that the coolest thing that happened at this thing that I saw was that they had this scene, which was the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. They actually had what were like guests walking around the lobby, and actors walking around the lobby and pretending to be impatient, etc., etc. I love when Disney does this. When Disney goes in and they plus out an attraction with cast members. And I mentioned this on X, is that we had the cast member that stood by Little Red and said Little Red is okay. And I thought to myself when I first saw that, that's a rotation here. Is that like you're a greeter, and then you're driving the truck, and then you're standing by the truck with a gun going, Little Red is okay. And then there was a scene that they cut out early in the Rock and Roller Coaster with Aerosmith, where there was a guy who would walk into that room and he would pick up Joe Perry's white Les Paul and bring it back. And they kind of chopped in at like a B mode where it's just like some guy goes, hey, I'll get it for you. And that's it. But during hard ticket events at Disney World, they've done this when they've added pirates, when they've added to Pirates of the Caribbean, when they've added Haunted Mansion characters. So for this whole event, everything was pretty cool with this, but this is the part that I thought Disney needs to do more of this. Rob, do you agree? I never know what kind of take you're going to have on something like this.
Yeah. So I do agree. Actually, I think it adds to the experience in the parks. Do I think they should do it all the time? Yeah, that would be great. But even if they did it just during peak periods, right? They know what peak periods look like. Just throwing something in, a very small increase in labor costs when it comes to the total operational cost of the parks to plus up for as many people as they can. So I'd love to see them kind of do this. Earlier on, when they were talking about the cavalcades, for instance, there were the conversations around surprising, delighting customers or guests. And I see this as an opportunity to do that. Again, not all the time, very little cost to do it during very peak times.
Yeah. And then, Shannon, what are your thoughts on this? And one of the other things that I talked about were the characters. They actually had the Mighty Thor was one of the characters on hand. They brought back Roger Rabbit for this one, which I thought, okay, are you allowed to do that? Cool. Anything about those things or the live actors?
I loved the tower actors specifically, and I think it would be really easy for Disney to put that in either a Halloween event, but Jollywood Nights. So you know how they have that old timey band outside of Hollywood, Tower of Terror? Move that band inside, like you would in some hotels by a lobby bar. You may see a band like that, and have some actors dressed, for the time. And I think that would be incredible. They don't even have to interact with the people in the queue. It would just be amazing to get the entertainment from the band and also see the actors engage. I just think it would be really cool.
Okay.
Shan, that band during Jollywood was one of the coolest parts of the entire event. I really did like it. I'd love to see them leverage that a little bit more. It was pretty exceptional.
Yeah.
You're talking about the band down by the at the Tip Top Club?
Yeah.
I honestly, that band showed up at Destination D23 as part of the Disney Eats panel, and it was pretty cool. So apparently there's some buffering issues with YouTube. Maybe YouTube is just like they can't even handle how much like hot takes Rob is going to have here tonight. So
hey, Rob, I don't know if you noticed, but there is another chat.
I did see it, and I will go ahead and acknowledge that now. Because it is, of course, from Mr. Rob Bazemore, who is starting it in the chat. He's starting in the fight in the chat. He said Jungle Cruiser is completely wrong. The reservation system helps drive a better experience for everyone. That's just, first of all, nonsense. And secondly, thank you, Mr. Bazemore. We'll still take your money, but also, thanks for the super chat, and we'll Jungle Cruiser. I'll come to your defense in a bit here. So let's talk about the next thing on our agenda, and the next thing that I had on the list is the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. And Shannon, I have
that's what was not working before I jumped on here. So
yeah, somebody actually said in the stream that the Disney was probably controlling the stream. So. Let's see. Just let us know in the chat if they wonder if it's because of the Emmys being on tonight and everybody's like logging in with their YouTube live. I forgot they were on completely because, we don't even acknowledge the Emmys because they're on Sunday nights and we have better things to talk about. But they are entertaining themselves by talking about the yellow strap. So, but again, I mean, YouTube was getting solid 5 minutes of dead. Ooh, that's not good. Let us know when we're
Yeah, I was
back.
watching. We were watching TV before I hopped on the show, and we use YouTube TV, and it was buffering real bad. No sound.
Interesting. I'm not seeing any of that on my side either. Open up regional base.
It could be an East Coast thing, maybe.
Oh no.
Who are your providers, your internet providers?
Verizon for me.
Yeah, I use Ting, which is a
Ting?
fiber.
I've never heard
That's
of
what they offered us, Ting, and it's never really been a problem. TSN 6899 says maybe we should reschedule for tomorrow night. No. We'll be okay. We'll hold off for a second here, and hopefully you guys will hang with us. Let me. I don't think there's really anything else. Let me check and make sure it's not on my end. Yeah, just doing a speed test. I'm getting 300 down and 500 up.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Care Bear says, I think we're okay now. Is everybody else feeling okay?
Mm-hmm.
Dawn says it's better now. Yes, much better now, says Fire Chief. I think we're caught up. A tiny bit of lag, but nothing terrible currently. Okay, well, keep us posted on that, guys. We appreciate it. Let's talk about this again with the Bibbidi Bobbidi. Rob, you have a lot of money. You probably go get these makeovers all the time, or would if you could. Anything that you would want to say about what they've added there?
No, I mean, I'm just interested in seeing, they haven't really, I want the price delta looks like the old packages versus the new packages, right? Is that offset going to pay for of having the fairy godmother there? Just to see what that looks like. These are super high margins for Disney and, really high customer satisfactions, right? Everyone loves to see these, and not only just the young guests who go with their parents and then walking around the parks and seeing these kids after their makeovers. It just brings joy to everyone. So I love these in general, even though they wouldn't let me get one.
No, and I would have said you could have done the Pirates League, but sorry, that's a bar now, so you can't do that one either. Yeah. So let's talk about September. It is September, but it's not September 21st yet. But on September 21st, you see, she's already feeling the music. On September 21st at the world famous Guardians of the Galaxy attraction, they're going to be playing the song September the entire day. So if you are disliking of conga like I am, then hang on. You're going to be able to get September all day long. Shannon, what's your favorite song on Cosmic Rewind?
Oh, September is actually my second. The first one is, oh my gosh, why is it escaping my mind? The Blondie
Disco
song.
Inferno. Oh, Call Me.
What?
One way or another.
Yes, that's it.
Sorry.
That's my favorite. But September is going to be my second favorite.
Call Me. I don't know where I was going with that one. Everybody Wants to Rule the World is the right answer, but of course, because I feel that way, Rob Bays, stop it. Because of that, Rob Bazemore I bet you have a different take on that one.
No, I do. It's Run Run Rocket.
That's no one's favorite.
That's my third favorite.
No, I think it's Everyone Wants to Rule the World is the correct answer.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Well, wow, we're on the same page for once.
No,
That
it's
is
a completely different experience.
You're correct for once.
Rosita is in chat, and she
slower.
says, "I always get everybody wants to rule the world." There's a room where the light won't find you. No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, again, that was the very first one I had when I did Cosmic Rewind with my kids, and they loved that one too. And there's something about it that just feels very smooth when you're like gliding along. But the funny part about this is that Disney released this kind of teaser video about flipping through and picking out the songs, and they pull up like this old school cassette drawer and they're pulling it out, and it says something about the symphonic or something music from the land, and so it's like they skip over that one, and somebody, and it may have been Scott Guston or he may have gotten it from somebody else, put that music from the land with the ride. And so if you can find that online, it is very funny.
I need to find that. Yeah.
It is very funny because it's like, I would go with that. I would ride that. So anyway, it's honestly, I got Congo once and it was fun, said Rosita. You know what? I don't know why I bash Congo. I just would rather not have it. Like if I'm ranking them 1 through 8, I would even take Run Run Rocket before Conga.
Wow.
And that's the worst one, I feel, or that's one of the worst ones.
I
really wish that they would plus these out a little bit more and add some more songs to this, because why not? Why wouldn't you? There's nothing, they don't have to change ride profiles for that. That would be pretty cool. Jungle Cruiser again with a super chat, but we got to do the super chat sounder because otherwise, is it really a super chat? 3, 2, 1. So heavy, right? Jungle Cruiser is back with, I wish we had at California Adventure. I wish at California Adventure we could get September on our Guardians ride. That music is fun on that Guardians ride too. And the thing I've mentioned before is like on Mission Breakout, they do have different songs, and then they also have different videos that they stretch in there too. And with Mission Breakout, I don't know that it matters as much to me which song I get. I kind of like them all. But with Cosmic Rewind, it matters to me. And there's that moment when they're like, we're going to go back. And it's like, oh, what are we going to get? And then you get Conga, and it's like, come on. But Care Bear said, poor Gloria. She got to ride the ride. She got to ride it with her song. I'm sure that day that Gloria Estefan rode that ride, they made Conga the only song that day. It was probably fine. Nothing against that song, just doesn't work with the ride for me, said Dawn. But Jungle Cruiser, thank you for your super chat again. We appreciate it. And I just think they need to swap out these songs more. Like, why not? Especially at California. I mean, California needs to keep it fresh all the time. The final thing I want to talk about on our old business is that this week, and I believe it is tomorrow, they are going to do an overlay on Tron, where they're going to basically make it the Tron overlay for the new movie Tron Ares. They're going to add the red coloring to it instead of the blue, and there will be the Nine Inch Nails music instead of the music for Daft Punk. Now, this is a temporary overlay. Of course, the Red Rose Tavern was a temporary overlay of the Pinocchio Village house at Fantasyland in California, and we see what happened there. If it's better, I mean, maybe that would be a cool thing to do. The thing that I want, though, is, and Rob, you were talking about Run Run Rocket. The only thing they change for Cosmic Rewind is the song. They don't change any of the show for the Christmas version. For this one, I wondered, you've ridden Tron, do you think that there's other things they could change other than the color and the music for this one? I feel like there is, right?
I hope there is, because this is going to be such a big tie-in to the movies. I'd love to see a day whenever they film a new movie, like a Star Wars movie or a Tron, that they go ahead, or Guardians of the Galaxy, that they go ahead and shoot supplemental content for the in-park experience. They've talked about that for so long, the parks being an extension of what's going on and from the studios, and I'd love to see that. And this could be an opportunity for Aries for them to actually do that. They're trying to reinvigorate the Tron franchise, which is one of my favorites, and doing some cool stuff for the ride. I think will go a long way.
Cool. Shannon?
I am rather emotionless about this announcement. It really doesn't mean anything to me. Tron is a fun ride for 20 seconds. And I've never seen the movie, and there's a new movie coming out. I didn't know. I don't know. I don't care for it.
I already have tickets for that new movie.
Oh my gosh.
And Rob, I don't know if you remember, Rob, but I flew down for the opening of Tron. And I was talking to you, and we picked up some stuff. As you can tell, I'm a huge Tron fan. This is exciting for me.
Now, Rob, I'm a huge Tron fan too, but here's the thing is that I loved the first movie. It was part of my childhood, and I would not recommend it to anyone.
Oh, no.
That's the funny thing. It's like, do I love the original 1982 Tron? Yes, I do. Would I tell people to watch it? No, I would not. However, Tron, the catch is Tron Legacy. I loved that movie. It was like 2016. I loved that movie. That was great. The problem is, I feel like you would like it better if you knew the first movie, and I'm not making you watch the first movie. So it's like this catch-22 on that one. So this one will be interesting to see. I don't think you need you don't need to have watched the others, I don't think, to get into what's there. Now, when Flynn shows himself in the second movie, if you had seen the first movie, you're like, oh my God, it's him. If you hadn't, you're just like, Jeff Bridges is in this movie too. That's great. Like it wouldn't have, the whole bit about that's a really big door, all those little things that you find after seeing the first movie ties into the second movie. And Shannon has promised that she's going to come on A Look on the Plus Side and review the original 1982 Tron movie.
No way. No way. Not a chance.
She promised that if nothing else, she would come on and give her opinion about the 1982 Tron movie. I love, Rob, same as you. I love that. I never thought in a million years or in my lifetime there would be a Tron roller coaster at Magic Kingdom in Florida. And so I love that it's there, that it exists. The one that they built in Shanghai was supposed to be like, we're not going to build Space Mountain. What can we do? Oh, we'll do this. And so I'm really glad that it's there. 9 Inch Nails is great. That whole vibe, though, when you come in and you hear that uplifting Daft Punk soundtrack, like I'm all about that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do for this overlay. I can't wait to see it. But at the same time, I guess I hope it goes back to the original when all is said and done. And then we just have something else that they could pull out of their pocket anytime they want to. And maybe when the fourth Tron movie comes out in 20 years or whenever that's going to happen, who knows? It's a good IP, I feel like. But like many others that my son watches, he doesn't like the movies, but he likes the vibe. So that's it for our old business. I'll go ahead and close the chapter on our old business, and thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe to this channel. It's the Park Adventures Club. We're here every Sunday night for the Park Adventures Club at 8:30. Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. for A Look on the Plus Side. That's our movie review show. And then Friday nights, it's kind of a grab bag of all kinds of awesome shows that we'll tell you about at the end of this, including one from Shannon and Stephanie, and now Patrick and Ron are in on it. So we'll tell you all about all that stuff at the end. But right now we're talking about our main topic. Why do we still need park reservations at Disney parks? So kids, gather around the fire. We're going to tell you the story about there was a time in 2019.
Hey, before we get into this, I'm so sorry, Rob. I am frozen. You can hear me, right?
I can hear you, but it's like somebody told you Andy was coming.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Give me 1 second. I'm going to refresh.
Yeah, go ahead and refresh.
At least it's not a bad frozen shot.
Hey, I'm back.
There she is. All right, so back to what I was talking about. There was a time in 2019 when you could get fast passes for free, when you could get into the park without a reservation. It was a beautiful time to be alive. And then 2020 came along, and COVID shut down the theme parks. And when they opened back up, they were being very gentle about openings. Disney was anyway. Universal Parks, by the way, was like, we don't care. Come to Universal Parks. It's going to be awesome. You're going to love it. Yeah, COVID's a thing, but it's not a thing here. And if it is, you'll be fine. So, I mean, when that was happening with the parks, both Universal and Disney and other theme parks around the country were doing, hand sanitizer and hand washing stations and temperature checks going in, which when we found out later, it was not so useful to have, but they had them. And then, people were going to theme parks again. And we shut down the world in March of 2020. In July or June of 2020, Universal opened their doors again. Never had a park reservation system. Never had a park reservation system. So the original idea from Disney when they opened up Disney World in July was, we had this park reservation system so our parks don't get overcrowded. Let us know where you're going to be so we know that you'll be there. Park hopping was frozen, so you couldn't do you couldn't do Frozen. You couldn't do park hopping anymore at that point. You had to pick the park you wanted to be in, get a reservation to go. And Fast Pass was paused and gotten rid of at that point. Then they introduced Lightning Lane, and then so there was just so many just different complicated levers to go on a Disney trip. You had to know about park reservations. There were people who would pull up to the main gate and not have a park reservation. It's like, sorry, you can't come in. Or they had a park reservation for the wrong park. There was a lot of little complications like that would happen at the beginning of all this. Then, with Disneyland, the park reservation system caused a lawsuit because people bought these magic keys, and that was their annual pass. And the magic keys said you could come in anytime you want, but no one could get in because of the park reservation system. So it was just that was really complicated for people, and they got sued for it, and there was a class action suit, and they had to give me $22.53 or something like that that was paid through Venmo at some point along the way. So when we were talking about park reservations being a thing, Disney started to back off on them at some point and say, okay, look, maybe we don't need them for everything. If you're buying a ticket for Saturday, the 13th of September, we're just going to assume that it's going to be okay for you to go. And so you don't need to do those reservations anymore. Or even when they started park hopping, though, with park hopping, you could make a reservation for, okay, the Magic Kingdom's full today. You can make a reservation for Animal Kingdom, go tap in at Animal Kingdom, and then go to the Magic Kingdom anyway. Everybody did that for the 2021, October 1st, 2021, when the Magic Kingdom was celebrating its 50th anniversary. Everybody that reservation sold out or filled up immediately, but then everybody else would just go tap in somewhere else and then just park hop. And so park hopping for a while was you could only do it after 2. Now, as I'm throwing all these rules and things out there, it's complicated. It's too complicated. I remember, people telling me I don't know that I could go to Disney now because it's too complicated. So as we've gone along, they've modified the park reservation system, and they've really at this point made it that it's really more for annual pass holders, especially in Disneyland. And we'll talk about the difference between Disneyland and Disney World. But they made it, a kind of a thing where you had to have park reservations for some tickets, but not for others. Annual pass holders don't necessarily need one if they're coming in after 2:00. They also have good to go days. I think it's pretty confusing. I know Rob's opinion on this, Shannon. So before I go to him on this, I want to hear your opinion on park reservations in general. Do you think we still need them at this point? Or why do they still exist?
Maybe I'll be controversial here. As a consumer, I hate them and I think they should go away immediately. It is so inconvenient. Like you said, it is so silly that if I can't get into Magic Kingdom and I have plans to go there, that I'm just going to tap right into EPCOT, walk over to the monorail, and make my way to Magic Kingdom. Now, it seems like they're trying to curtail that because I believe for Starlight, they said no park hopping, right? So they're trying to fix that. However, from a business standpoint, and I've worked in operations for a long time, running lean operations is a very smart business practice. And what I mean by that is trying to match your workforce to what you anticipate guest demand to be as close as possible so that you have enough staff to meet the number of guests that are going to be there, but not so much that you just have people standing around doing nothing. So I would imagine that Disney has very strong data on this. I too, when I was thinking about this, earlier today, I was thinking how silly it is that it is just for annual pass holders, but I forget that if you buy, day tickets, because I tend to do that for my husband, you pretty much have to tell them the days you're going to use your ticket. So that is essentially kind of like a reservation, if you will. But there is still a little bit of that doesn't make sense because you don't really know what park they're going to be at which day if they do park hopper. But I just think it's a complicated answer. I think there are benefits that we don't feel as a consumer, but essentially like the money and the resources should be going elsewhere at Disney, and that should benefit us. So I think there are things as an everyday consumer that we can't appreciate or know. However, the inconvenience of it and the annoyance of it tends to supersede that. Am I lost in the abyss again? Did we lose our host? Okay.
Nope, you're good. Let's hear from the man who has all the answers. Mr. Rob Bazemore has strong feelings about this, and I feel like he's just like goading me into an argument with this because he really seems to have these strong feelings about the park reservation system.
I don't have all the answers. I just have the right ones. First of all, Jen made some great points. There is a lot of operational stuff. But I would have a piece of advice for you, Rob. If your friend, if the system is too complicated for your friends, then you probably need to get some smarter friends.
Jesus,
how long does it really take to make a park reservation? 30 seconds, a minute. This isn't like a super burdensome process where you have to go take a test or do it. It's a really simple process, and now it's even easier. The only people who effectively have to fill out an application, have to use the reservations, are people who are annual pass holders. And if you're an annual pass holder, you absolutely understand the system because it's not that complicated. I know people throw in, it's like, oh, they also added lightning lanes. Sure, they did, right? But that's just over. That's nothing to do with the reservation system. I get it that the entire experience might be a little more complicated for people who don't understand it. But that person who's showing up to Magic Kingdom who's uneducated is not an annual pass holder. So it's pretty simple, right? And again, the people who are affected are those who are annual pass holders who come here all the time and clearly understand. Now, what is the downside other than the 30 seconds it takes to make reservations? I mean, what is the downside? Are you mad that maybe they might, when the park is overly crowded, that they might stop more people from coming in? I mean, I don't know about you,
Steve, Rob, it's not stopping people from coming in, and it's not controlling the crowds, and it's not controlling the supply and demand and the cast members. All these things that you're telling me it's doing, it's not doing any of that. I still get into those parks. The lines are still huge. You can still not move in the place. There's not enough people eater attractions. There's not enough shows. There's not enough stuff going on. And okay, you think they're using that data. I don't think they are, because when they go in to use that data, then they would not run out of stuff, and they run out of stuff all the time. There would be better reservation systems, because you get into a restaurant and there's 3 tables that are full and the rest are all completely empty, and you're like, why did I have to fight for this ADR? There are so many things that they could be doing that you're talking about, but I think it's all like theory, because I don't think they're doing any of it. And so you're making an extra step for people to go in to do this. And then at Disneyland, you are boxing people out left and right, because people pay a lot of money for these magic keys. They fight for the magic keys, and then they can't get in unless they make these huge, long reservations like weeks in advance, and they can't always get in to do that. So if it's at capacity, that's a thing. But if it's just because you're saying that one piece of it, you're like all the rest of the stuff, yeah, it's all together. It's all connected, man. It's all part of the same system, where if you've got to go do your lightning lane stuff, and how soon can you do your lightning lanes? But if your last name starts with a P, then you have to do your lightning lanes this way. But if they do another one, and this one, just listen to this. This is from the website. It says, to enter a theme park, each pass holder must have a valid admission and may need a theme park reservation depending on the date. Annual pass holders may visit the theme parks without a theme park reservation on a good to go day or after 2 p.m., except on Saturdays and Sundays at Magic Kingdom Park. That is the most legalese I've ever heard. It's too complicated. And yeah, I get what you're saying. I'll get some smarter friends. I'll work on that, and we'll get that done. But I'm just telling you that I think that most people want a very easy vacation, and they don't make it easy. They just don't. And this is one thing you could do, just one thing you could do to get rid of this, because I don't think it's helping anybody, and one less problem.
Yeah.
I think the point you're making, Rob, is that this should never be put on the consumer, and that is their major flaw. Well, number one, they're not executing it well enough. They have the data. We know for sure they have the data, but they're not doing it well, and your consumer should not be involved. You need to figure out as an operation, forecast, use historicals to map out what you expect.
So Rob, you think of Disney. Do you actually think that if they aren't getting anything out of it, that they're putting the operational overhead into keeping the system alive? You think that they're having their IT and they're managing the servers required to get this going, and they're updating the systems? They're dealing with the customers who are unhappy about it. You think they're just doing that just for fun? That it's not doing any of those things. It's not helping. It's not helping their labor allocation. It's not helping their food costs. It's not helping the merchandising in the stores. You think it's just someone's like, you know what? I hate customers. I'm going to piss them off and put this system in place.
Yep, that's exactly what I think. You got it. You nailed it. No, I don't think that's the case, but I think that in theory it's probably a good idea, and it strikes me as a thing, like as far as Disney goes. It benefits, I feel like, the customer not at all. And I feel like when you're talking about it, you're saying it from a standpoint of how it helps Disney. Stop helping Disney, help me. That's the thing, that it's like, so if Disney was using it to help me, that would be different, but I don't think that they are. And I think it's a system, my opinion, and I don't have the facts on it any more than you do. My opinion is that this thing is still in place after all this time, and no one has stopped to go, should we get rid of it? Because of, we're not using it for this, we're not using it for that. Once park hopping happened, you're way out of your league on how you're controlling these things. And the same thing goes for the fact that when I look at the dates that are sold out, there really aren't any anymore. Even when they had that in place for the Starlight, they put it in place for Starlight and said, Shannon was talking about this earlier, that, hey, we're expecting there to be a lot of people during Starlight, so we're going to go ahead and put the park reservation system back into place. Then I almost get it, Rob, because then again, you're anticipating the fact that it's going to be crazy. You want to make sure that nobody gets disappointed when they walk up to the gate that night expecting to see Starlight and they can't get in. That was a one-off, but it never needed to happen. So I think that if we're running these parks efficiently, you don't need, and you can't tell me that there's not other data other than park reservations that help them predict what a day is going to be like in October. They know that because it's called historical data, and they've been reaping it for forever.
Yeah, there's tons of data. But two things I would say: every single time, and I know during this period of time we're talking about a not very peak period of time, so. You're right. They're probably not seeing, the maximum benefits during this period of time. But just think, every single time that someone doesn't get a reservation, there's at least a period of time where the park is less crowded than it would have been if someone could have just gone straight to the park. Disney probably also likely knows that there's only a percentage of people that will take the time and energy to go in, check in at an existing place, and then park hop. Will passionate people like us do it? Sure, but that's not everyone. There's a hurdle to getting to Magic Kingdom if you have to go to a Animal Kingdom first and then go over to Magic Kingdom. So it is reducing the attendance, whether we like it or not. But I do agree with you. During the non-peak peak times, it is certainly much less beneficial, and it will be more beneficial. Now, I'll take it another thing to make it more complicated. We now have at some of the parks a significant number of rides that are going to be shut down. They as we get to more peak times, they're going to have to need to control the number of people in the parks because there's not enough capacity from a ride standpoint. And I think when we get to the holidays, that you will see more reservations filling up. On the flip side, I think it's even more of a large thing over Disneyland when there's so much, when the overwhelming majority of people that are in the parks are annual pass holders. They've done a lot to shift the capacity and get people out of the parks on the weekends because that's when the majority of those people who are traveling to the parks are there. So that's even more, right? The parks are overrun, and I'm sure you've seen this in the amount of time you spend at Disneyland. But the parks are overrun there with APs, and the fact that they are freeing up capacity for those people who are traveling, hundreds or thousands of miles to come in. I think it's even more of a benefit over in Anaheim.
I love the fact that the chat was like, this is too much. Actually, Shannon was saying this is too much. I honestly love a good conversation. And so no one loves Rob Bazemore in this world more than I do. So I'm just saying, we're all good. We're all good. But I do feel pretty passionately about this, as you could tell. And honestly, Rob, I don't think that the thing you're talking about with controlling the population in the park, if that's going to be a thing, they need to lessen, and I don't think they do, how many people they're going to allow into the park when they do those ride closures you're talking about. I don't think when they shut down half of Dinoland and you have to walk around this way and back this way in order to go back in the corner and ride Dinosaur, I don't think that they are accounting for all that they've lost when they realize, like, they look at, and again, I don't know, but my feeling, having just been in the parks, is that they don't account for it, no matter how many park reservations are out there. Let's get to Disneyland for a second, because we talked about Disneyland and the locals, and as I look at this calendar, so today is the 14th. They are completely booked out for the 14th. For the 19th, they're completely booked out. You can't get a reservation. You only have 2 parks to choose from out here, too, so you're going to have a harder time. And then you can see that the 19th, you can't go anywhere. On the 26th, you can go to just California Adventure right now. But even in that case, on the 26th, I would get a California Adventure pass on the 26th, and then 11 a.m., I would go over to Disneyland. And how are you accounting for that? I have no idea. But I don't think that they're using that data in that way because, as I've said, when I get in there, it seems like there's not enough people. The lines for the attractions are too long. If you wanted to help me, if you really wanted to help me and you still wanted to use this park reservation system, I would limit that more than they're limiting it, especially in Disney World, because of how they shut down all of these attractions, especially as we've talked about before. I said, are they shutting down too much? I mean, we have the entire Muppets Courtyard is shut down. That's not just the people who were going to be going to Muppet Vision. That's also the people who are going to be going and having, lunch or dinner at Mama Melrose. That's the people who are going to be having lunch or dinner, God forbid, at Pizza Rizzo's. I like Pizza Rizzo's. I know Shannon doesn't. But I honestly, as I'm going around and looking at like how much stuff is shut down there, when they shut the things down, if they were caring about the consumer, they might lower the ticket price, discount them, give you a gift card for when you go in there, try to, encourage you, right? Exactly. Try to encourage you to go to other places because like EPCOT half of it was shut down. And so I hope that when they were accounting for that, they weren't looking at their old numbers of, how many people can this park hold? 100,000. Rob, my question back to you though is why, if this was such a great system, Universal has had a history of following the footsteps of what Disney does. If this is such a great system, why did Universal never touch this thing once?
Yep. So good question, Rob. First thing, because it's about money. So Disney at this point.
Oh, and Universal doesn't like money. Oh, that's right. I forgot.
No. It's the opposite. I'm saying that Universal says so. Disney wants to ultimately, and I believe this with all my heart. And I know someone who had a conversation with Ken Potrock, the former president of Disneyland Resort. They want to be in a world in which they can make more revenue off a smaller number of people. And I will tell you that I believe wholeheartedly that that Universal just wants to crowd as many people in their parks as they possibly can, just make as much money. So that why would they do anything if that's their mentality? They won't do anything that would possibly discourage even one guest from coming to the parks. So that's a big piece.
Whoa. So you're saying park reservations discourage people from coming to the parks? Interesting you would say that.
No, I
you
agree.
Just said it.
Yeah, it does. When the parks are at capacity, it discourages people from the parks. So the point I was trying to make, and I did a poor job of it, is capacity scarcity. Universal doesn't care. They want just to fill the parks to the brim, where ideally Disney is at least some concern. I know we don't see it now because the parks aren't as busy. They want to be a scenario in which the experience in the park is better because there are, even if it's slightly fewer people. The one thing I'll leave you with on this, Rob, is that let's circle back in January. If we don't see that Disney used the park reservation to limit capacity during these peak times, then I will happily tell you that I was completely wrong. I was full of it, and that the park reservation system has no purpose at all. And I'll personally send a letter to Bob and ask him to get rid of the reservation system.
All right, fair enough. That's absolutely a good point. I would love it, Rob, if the truth was that the reason this was in place was actually happening. I'm not arguing the fact that there's probably a reason, because like you said, they wouldn't do this just to annoy customers because they do love them some money. I think that I don't think there's a reason for it anymore. And the other thing is to think about is that the reason that they put it in place in the first place was because COVID, 5 years ago, because COVID.
I heard they've been working on it for quite some time before they actually implemented it.
And it was an excuse to be able to put it into place.
And Disney used COVID as an excuse for a lot of things, and the park reservation system was one of them.
Yep. Shannon, you're being awful quiet.
I just like, can I look now?
Sorry.
No, I mean, my opinion of it is, I stand by that. As a consumer, I hate it and I want it to go away. And really the annoyance to me is when I go with my family, we all have to make sure we're like, okay, which days are we doing this? And then you line up all your plans and you make all your reservations on the same day. And then maybe it's supposed to be a hurricane that day. So now you're changing your plans and you all have to change your reservations. So I stand by my vote to get rid of them.
Well, and Rob, I think you kind of touched on this before, is that, maybe they used COVID for an excuse to do a lot of things. There's a lot of things that we all enjoyed about Disney and that made it easy to plan a trip. And, they walked you through the whole thing. They said, hi, you just bought a trip. First of all, what magic bands would you like? We'll send those to you. Are you coming in by airplane? We're going to send a bus for you. Are you driving? We have complimentary parking. Are you buying something in the park? We'll send it back to your room. Like all of those things were like knocked out at when this all happened, and they were like, man, we're being really too good to these people. We should probably not be this good to them. And they got rid of a whole bunch of things. And then, they brought some of them back, but they were all piecemeal. They brought back, okay, we're not going to use park reservations as much. And then we will do Lightning Lane multi-pass, but you're still going to have to pay for it, and there's surge pricing for it, but we're going to add this in there. And, so there's so many complications to it. And I feel like I'm a fairly smart person, but maybe, Rob, you need smarter friends. Maybe I need to not be in your circle. But honestly, there's a lot of those things where they put together, all of so many things in place that make it a more complicated trip to take, including, some people get upset that you can't do ADRs as far out as you used to. Some people don't like that you can't, plan that far in advance. Man, if this is your opinion of the park reservation system, I think you and I need to have a talk about DVC at some point and see where we're at on that page, because you and I are both Owen on that one. But I will say though that to me, it feels like we don't need this anymore. But let's do a final recap on everything. I do want to wrap this up now, but before we do have one more super chat from our friend Jungle Cruiser, and you get this. And Disneyland still has COVID-19 checkbox even now, says Jungle Cruiser. Disneyland, man, why do they run both these parks separately? It's the same freaking company. They run them completely separately.
That frustrates me more than and now think about all the waste that's taken to run them so separately, to have different systems, different processes. That drives me crazy from an operational standpoint.
Yeah, Care Bear said, because California, Jungle Cruiser, because California. Yeah, honestly, there are a lot of things that they changed for, after COVID made things more difficult. I've heard from people, and Rob, let me just say this about the systems in general, is you have mentioned on more than one occasion, just slapping the ball out of my hand, talking about the fact that we operate differently than most human beings when it comes to Disney. That we are so blessed to be as involved or invested in Disney as we are, to be able to say that we go to Disneyland and to Disney World, or to Tokyo Disney or Disneyland Paris or all these other Disneys, and that most people don't get those opportunities. And so because of that, I feel like they've taken those of us who are loyal to it and then just kind of tromped all over us in so many ways in the past decade, I feel like. So, I mean, again, I think that the way we could get out of that is to stop spending money. But I remember Patrick Hackett saying at one point that he was too invested, both financially and emotionally, in the brand. Because that's one of those things. You expect them to come around. You expect they're going to come around. And so you're still in it and you still enjoy it when you're in it, but they still do so many little things. So I would love to get comments from everybody else after this. Come into the chat. Tell us what you think about everything. But before we go any further, I do want to give a big shout out to our pack. So many of our pack members are here tonight. We love our pack. The Park Adventurers Club. Thank you so much to everybody who is a member of our pack, who helps this programming happen each and every day. We have a Discord, and if you want to be a part of that, you can check out how to become a part of it at patreon.com/GoPack. That's PAC. Thank you to all of our Zebra Mezzanine and Treasure Room supporters. You know who you are, but you can see them listed here. I do want to say and give a big shout out to the fact that we are almost 6 months old on this channel. It's hard to believe. We started on April 1st. I'm sure people thought it was a joke. We started on April 1st. And I love everybody who has found us and come and enjoys the Sunday night show. And again, we're on Sunday nights at 8:30. We'll be on again next Sunday night at 8:30. We'll have Annie and Charlie here to talk about Halloween Horror Nights 2025 and give their opinions on the houses and the lineups and the offerings this year, as well as some more park news like we do every week. And then Wednesday nights, we do a show called A Look on the Plus Side. Last week, Charlie was on and he talked about Ice Age from a scientific point of view that will blow your mind. He got so in the weeds about what a sloth actually is and the Ice Age itself, and it was a lot of fun to talk to him. And we'll have another show this Wednesday night at 9 p.m. So come join us. And then on Friday nights, we do what we call TGIF, where we rotate through different shows. We have a show from Stephanie who interviews former cast members, people who used to make the magic. It's called Castaways. And then this last Friday, Ron and Patrick were talking about their cruise experiences on something we call Beyond the Parks. And then I do something every now and then just Rob loves everything, and I'll do hauls and unboxings and stories and all that kind of stuff. But Shannon has a show called The Happiest Stays. What was the last one that you did? It was the All-Star Movies, correct?
Yeah, and people didn't think, people think I'm above the value resorts. I'm not. I am not.
So, have you picked out your next happiest day?
Still deciding. But
okay.
Still deciding.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that one. But again, join us Sunday nights at 8:30, Wednesday nights at 9 p.m., and then Friday nights at 8:30 as well for lots of programming. Plus, we got stuff here all the time. We got ride videos. We got, fireworks shows, things like that. We hope that you will tell a friend, parkadventuresclub.com. Thank you so much. But now as the group has a quorum here, I want to get final thoughts. And I want to get final thoughts first from Shannon, because I feel like Rob has a few more things to say. So, Shannon, what are your final thoughts on the night? And again, the question to the pack tonight was, do we still need, 5 years later, park reservations at Disney parks?
Well, Rob, do you need me to say it again for you in Spanish? No. No, we don't. We don't need the park reservation system any longer. Get rid of it. I understand that it can be, relatively minor in terms of it being an inconvenience. But when you go ahead and point out all the things that we used to have and all the things that Disney would make our lives easier when it came to vacationing there, it burns that much more, and it does get under my skin. So, get rid of it. That's all I have to say.
And I'm not really sure what he thinks, but let's get the final wrap up from Mr. Rob Bates. I'm sorry, he's dropped off. We can't get his final thoughts. Oh, well. It's been a great... Oh, he is there. Oh, I'm sorry. What's going on, man?
Yeah, first thing I have to say is that Shannon's Resort Show is probably the best thing on this network, Rob. I think they're okay to do it. It is really...
Good night, everybody.
The amount of research she does and how thorough she is, really, if I was looking for, deciding on where I wanted to stay, it would be a must watch for me. So definitely everyone take a chance to watch it. It's really good. Second thing is, you guys heard me. I tried. I'm sorry. First of all, if I was too over the top with my opinion here, but I do really believe that even if I don't believe Disney is using it 100% the way it was intended, or 100% the way that gives everyone the absolute best experience, I do think that the park reservations system is such positive opportunity, and it will become even more and more important to the parks as they transition and expand and do all the updates and investments. I think you'll see more and more and more. And I also stand by my commitment. We'll circle back in January, and if Disney has not used the park reservation system during the very peak times and the way that I have outlined, I believe they will, then I will definitely admit that I was completely wrong and crazy. But I don't think that's the case. I assume positive intent here, and the idea of the park reservation system is to give the best experience to as many park guests as possible.
Since I have the ability to edit this video, I will edit it to the part where you said I'm completely wrong and crazy. I'll just leave that part in there, and then we'll all be fine. And I'm watching the rest of the Park Adventurers in our chat, and thank you guys again for being with us every Sunday night and for all our shows. And by the way, look on the plus side this week. It's going to be me and Shannon talking about A Bug's Life, so you're going to want to tune in for that one. That's your homework if you're going to watch A Look on the Plus Side on Wednesday night. Watch that movie and then join us Wednesday night at 9. But they're all saying no, we don't want it, because again, we don't. I don't think we see the benefits. And I know that you're saying that the possibility is there, but I don't think we're seeing the benefits as consumers. And I think Disney has done a lot of stuff to help themselves recently, and not as much to help the consumers recently. And so I disagree with that, but yes, let's circle back in January, and we'll prove that you were wrong about that. I would love to think, Rob, that if they open up a new land, that they're going to limit the amount of people who can come into the park, so that you can still enjoy the park. But I think they're not going to do that. And then those lines are going to be long, and then we're going to have a problem. Even if they did that, though, they're still hurting the consumer, because you're saying, hey, you know what, you paid to come to Disney World, and you paid your annual pass, and you set your schedule that you're going to be there in June, and the park's filled up. And I get what you're saying. You can use the reservation system. I just don't think that they should make us anymore, because I feel like it doesn't benefit us as much, and I don't think they're taking advantage of it in the way you think they will. But again, we'll circle back in January. And to everyone who watched tonight, there was nothing but love on this panel. So
healthy debate. All
healthy
good
debate.
things.
We hope to have a lot more in the future as well. So this is why you tune into the Park Adventurers Club, is because we give you multiple points of view from different people from all around, from all walks of life. And if you guys have your own opinion on it, I would love for you to drop it into the comments below, so that we can count your voice as well. So thank you guys so much for being here on the panel. Thank you guys so much for watching from home. We appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing week. Be kind to each other. And remember, folks, adventure is out there. We'll see you next time.